I have a problem sleeping to this day.
He said to me,
whose life had been affected by her.
The entertainment industry is reeling after a cascade of unfiltered revelations from those who lived through its darkest corners. For decades, Whisper Networks hinted at the psychological toll inflicted on young stars, but few expected the sheer scope of what is now coming to light. The trauma runs deep, leaving scars that some insiders admit they still carry every single day. At the center of these disturbing accounts is a web of manipulation involving major power players. Usher has exposed brutal secrets about Clive Davis, Diddy, and Will Smith. Following Clive Davis's demise, Davis passed away on June 22, 2026 at the age of 94. Long-standing industry rumors resurfaced regarding his mentorship of Diddy, his influence over major artists, and his alleged connections with Will Smith. Usher's revelations suggested that Davis played a deeper role in shaping Diddy's rise than many realized, teaching him how to navigate the business and build powerful alliances. These claims reignited speculation about Hollywood's hidden networks, raising fresh questions about the balance of mentorship, power, and secrecy in entertainment.
Right. And I saw it. And it was but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
So nobody tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place.
This complex web of influence traced back decades, starting at the vulnerable moments when young artists first arrived in the big city. The reality of what these kids witnessed behind closed doors is only now being fully understood, painting a wild and unsettling picture of the industry's inner circle. Back in the early 1990s, Usher was sent to New York to pursue his music career after being discovered by executive Clive Davis. As a teenager, he spent nearly a year living with Diddy, who was then an ambitious record producer. Usher has since reflected on that period, describing it as an introduction to an adult lifestyle that he felt was inappropriate for someone his age. What was intended as mentorship and career development exposed him to experiences far beyond his maturity level, raising questions about responsibility, guidance, and the pressures placed on young talent.
Years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy camp?
Hell no.
I have been given custody of him. He signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So, and we gonna go full buck.
The concept of a grooming camp for young talent has sparked intense backlash from parents and industry observers alike. When you look at the extreme vulnerability of a child entering this cutthroat world, the narrative of professional development completely shatters. Usher was only 13 or 14 when he entered Diddy's New York camp, hoping to break into the music industry. The arrangement was designed to give the young singer exposure, experience, and connections in a competitive environment. Over time, however, that period has drawn heavy public speculation. Accounts from those close to Diddy suggest the atmosphere was intense, even overwhelming for someone so young. One bodyguard has claimed Usher was hospitalized during that time, adding a troubling layer to the narrative. What was meant as mentorship became a subject of scrutiny, raising questions about power and responsibility.
I heard about some music executive from the industry back in Harlem. I heard it from some music executives back in Harlem. And I'm not gonna speak on their name. They doing programs and everything like that, and they may be doing something, they may speak on it themselves. But I heard it from some music executives.
Where did you hear it?
Bro, you know how people be talking and we was around some people, something like that, and then some people might say, yo, I don't F with that dude. And at the time, I didn't even know who the F Usher was. You know what I'm saying? It was one of those type of situations. And when somebody say, yo, man, I don't F with them niggas, man, I'm getting out that industry and everything like that. Puff sent this little kid to the hospital. How he sent him to the hospital? Man, nigga was bleeding from the butt.
The disturbing accounts of what actually happened to these children inside the industry are beginning to leak out through executive circles. Insiders are whispering about severe medical emergencies and horrific physical tolls that were swept under the rug to protect the image of powerful executives. According to Jaguar Wright, Clive Davis was not simply an executive figure, but a pivotal mentor in Diddy's ascent through the music industry. Wright alleged that Davis taught Diddy how to maneuver within the business, cultivate influential relationships, and leverage his position in entertainment. She emphasized that Diddy's rise was not achieved in isolation, arguing that powerful figures supported him throughout his career. In her interview, Wright pointed directly to Davis as the one orchestrating moves before Diddy, insisting that the mogul learned everything from him. Her claim underscores the idea that no one builds such dominance alone.
No one tells P. Diddy what to do, Absolutely. Who tells him? Clive Davis, in the beginning. No, he didn't empower him. That motherfucker put his ass on the block. He gave him power. And all he had to do was diddle-dee-dee.
The ultimate power dynamic meant that Diddy was never acting alone. He was enabled and strategically positioned by a kingmaker who pulls the strings from the shadows. This structural protection allowed the mentorship apparatus to expand, drawing in other massive Hollywood figures who managed to keep their reputations entirely spotless while navigating the exact same circles. As Diddy rose within the music industry, his reputation extended beyond hit records to mentoring younger talent. Usher recalled spending formative years under Diddy's guidance, while Justin Bieber forged a public friendship with him during his teenage rise. Will Smith, though primarily known for his acting career, was similarly viewed as a mentor figure to emerging entertainers. At one point, Smith partnered with Diddy, aligning himself with the mogul's influence. Yet, unlike Diddy's often turbulent path, Will carefully distanced himself from controversy. That decision reflected his instinct to protect his image, stepping away from trouble while maintaining his stature as a respected figure.
He destroyed this young singer's career, and some are saying they R-worded him like they allegedly did to Justin Bieber and Usher. So Bryshere Gray is an American actor and rapper who suddenly disappeared from the spotlight and dropped some major hints it had to do with Diddy and Will Smith's mentorship. He is now suing them both over his experience, and because many people say he was allegedly R-worded by the duo, Bryshere started to act out in disturbing ways, similar to how Justin Bieber did. On July 13th, 2020, Gray was arrested by police following an alleged DV incident with his wife. Then in May 24, 2021, he spent time in prison for allegedly putting his paws on her. So Jaguar Wright said she witnessed young boys run from Diddy's house screaming.
The dark reality behind these dual mentorships has allegedly left a trail of ruined careers and deep psychological trauma, drawing eerie parallels to what other teenage stars went through. While some figures carefully curated a squeaky clean image, former employees recall bizarre, high-tension standoffs at elite gatherings where control over specific stars was fiercely contested. According to Diddy's former bodyguard, an uncomfortable moment unfolded at a celebrity gathering attended by Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith, Jennifer Lopez, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, and others. He recalled that Diddy approached him and claimed that Will and Jada were trying to get close to Jennifer Lopez, asking him to stay nearby. The bodyguard said he interpreted Diddy's comments as concern that a confrontation could break out between the two stars. He remained close to Jennifer Lopez throughout the event, but said no physical altercation ultimately took place. The underlying tension between these megastars highlights just how fiercely protective Diddy was over his domain, a ruthless instinct he cultivated from the very beginning of his career under strict executive guidance. Clive Davis first met Diddy when Diddy was just 21 years old, a moment that sparked a relationship many later viewed with suspicion. Their closeness raised questions, especially as Diddy's career accelerated under Davis's guidance. When Diddy eventually faced legal troubles, speculation grew that Clive feared exposure of his own actions. Wright and others alleged that Davis wanted to protect himself and the secrets tied to his influence. The mentorship, while instrumental in shaping Diddy's rise, became clouded by doubts.
Memory working with Diddy.
You know, personally, I've got to tell you, he really is a major star in this film tonight. He's a spokesman all the way through. I met him before I ever knew of him. I met him when he was 21 years old, and I bought into his dream. And I financed Bad Boy Records. And we had an incredible run, an incredible period with all the artists that are touring, you know, from Mace and him, and obviously the great legacy of Biggie and, you know, Faith and 112, so that the total, I don't want to leave.
The desperation to bury these tightly held industry secrets has led to explosive accusations regarding the tragic downfalls of some of music's biggest icons. Industry watchdogs claim that the pattern of exploiting vulnerable artists for corporate gain didn't stop with Diddy, but extended to the tragic handling of legendary vocalists. Jaguar Wright has alleged that Clive Davis played a controversial role in Whitney Houston's tragedy, even suggesting his involvement in the circumstances surrounding her tragedy. According to Wright, Davis sought to bring Houston back under his control, sending her on international tours despite her ongoing struggles with substance misuse. She claimed Houston performed in Kazakhstan while still using drugs, a troubling decision that highlighted Davis's influence. Wright further argued that Davis placed Houston in rehab before her U.S. return, attempting to clean her image for commercial purposes. These allegations paint Davis not as a savior, but as a figure prioritizing financial gain over Houston's well-being. Wright's account, though disputed, reignited debate about exploitation, control, and the hidden power structures behind one of music's greatest voices.
I feel like anything with her name on it is strictly for the purposes of financial gain for those who have...
Details of corporate greed overriding human life peaked during one of the most infamous nights in music history. The decision to prioritize a marketing event while a legendary artist lay dead in the exact same building exposed a deep, unsettling lack of empathy that horrified fellow performers. Chaka Khan described Clive Davis's parties as insanity, and her criticism became especially sharp after Whitney Houston died in 2012. Davis chose to continue with his annual pre-Grammy party at the Beverly Hilton Hotel, the same venue where Houston had just been found dead. That decision was widely condemned, with artists like Chaka Khan and Sharon Osbourne insisting the event should have been canceled out of respect. Instead, Davis proceeded, framing the party as a tribute, but many saw it as insensitive and exploitative. The controversy highlighted the tension between honoring Houston's legacy and protecting financial interests, leaving Davis's actions under scrutiny.
I think going to go to the club.
The absolute refusal to pause the festivities proved to many insiders that the music elite operated under a completely different set of rules, shielded from reality by a carefully constructed corporate fortress. Jaguar Wright claimed that Diddy Combs operated with a wall of protection built around him, largely due to Clive Davis's early influence. According to her, Davis didn't just empower Diddy, he positioned him, gave him access to budgets, and ensured he had confidence from powerful figures. Wright argued that Diddy never revealed the full extent of his backing to those around him, including Junior Mafia and other street associates who believed he was moving independently. In reality, she alleged Diddy's strength came from Davis's support and the network of talent surrounding him. While many laughed at Diddy's flashy dancing in videos, Wright insisted that behind the scenes he was shielded, funded, and strategically placed. The perception of independence, she suggested, was an illusion. Clive Davis was the one orchestrating the foundation of Diddy's rise.
I'm gonna tell Gene and them that's how he circles and shit.
This calculated illusion of independence kept the street-level operators entirely in the dark about where the massive funding was truly coming from. The elite masquerade reached its peak at legendary exclusive gatherings designed to project absolute dominance over the entire entertainment landscape. Clive Davis was well known for hosting extravagant after-parties following the Grammy Awards, events that became legendary in the music industry. These gatherings drew some of the biggest names in entertainment, blending celebration with networking opportunities. Critics often describe them as showcases of Davis's influence where artists, executives, and celebrities mingled under his watchful eye. Even after controversy surrounding his career, Davis maintained the tradition, reinforcing his reputation as a kingmaker who could bring the industry's elite together in one room. His Grammy after-party symbolized both glamour and power, leaving a lasting imprint on how the business celebrated success.
A power. When they use those positions to take advantage of people, to especially younger people, right? There have been so many people who have been traumatized, young people who have been used and abused because there were people who had power that could make their dream come true. Can you imagine what position or how compromised you might be if someone had the key to your dream? I ain't talking about a goal, I'm talking about a dream. Something that you want more than anything. See, dreams are things that oftentimes do not come true. You can make a goal to do something, and oftentimes you can make that happen, but those dreams are called dreams for reasons.
The defiant continuation of these lavish parties, even in the face of immense tragedy, confirmed to critics that the family and the executives were completely locked in their stance to keep the show running at all costs. However, the recent passing of the legendary executive has reportedly unsealed decades of buried panic regarding what happens when the money stops and the truth comes out. Reports that surfaced after Clive Davis's passing away in June 2026 suggested he carried a secret to his grave, one allegedly tied to Diddy. According to unnamed sources, Davis feared details of his relationship with Diddy might be exposed, particularly as Diddy's legal troubles escalated. Davis had played a pivotal role in Diddy's rise, reportedly investing millions into Bad Boy Records in the 1990s and helping transform him into one of hip-hop's most powerful figures. The massive financial grooming of young executives created a compromised environment where artists were forced to surrender their dreams to handlers who held the keys to their careers. When the public image of this unstoppable partnership finally fractured, it triggered a catastrophic collapse that exposed the haunting reality of what they had done together. Their partnership was celebrated publicly, with Davis honoring Diddy at the Grammys as late as 2020. But after Cassie Ventura's lawsuit and subsequent investigations, Diddy's image collapsed, culminating in his imprisonment in 2025. Allegations then emerged that Davis was haunted by what he and Diddy had done together, though he denied any wrongdoing.
Monster MC.
But he was talking about, you know, him following Crawleyism and how he was all into that. And then that's when I started looking at the connection between who was in control of his career at TDE and who they were connected to. Jay-Z.
And
Do
Jay-Z
As Thou
is
Wilt
Was Thou
sweatshirt.
Wilt. Yep. Yep.
Also Crawleyism. And not only that, Crawley was celebrated by two of the hip hop witches that we see working with current figures now. Marina Abramovich and Michelle Lammy.
Ooh.
They're also attached to Crawleyism. So, and Michelle Lammy, I mean, she's had ties all through the industry. And
The sudden downfall and subsequent imprisonment of Diddy has forced researchers to look backward, revealing that this precise blueprint of executive manipulation and sudden, suspicious relapses has been operating in the industry for over half a century. Janis Joplin's passing away in October 1970 has long been surrounded by speculation, and some critics have linked Clive Davis to the circumstances. Joplin, one of the era's most iconic rock performers, was found dead in her hotel bathroom at age 27 from a heroin overdose. Reports suggest she had recently argued with Davis over renegotiating her contract and was attempting to distance herself from his control. Critics claim she was getting sober and beginning to realize that the path she was on was wrong before her sudden relapse, which raised questions about the timing and possible influence.
Way of a boy overdose, and y'all know what I mean when I say boy.
Boy, what? Wait, that's
Well, girl is the cocaine, and boy
okay.
is the dark,
Got
the dark
it.
heroin.
You don't have to. Yeah, I got you. All right, understood.
So she died of a boy overdose in October 1970 at the age of 27. And that's really wild because they don't get into detail when you look over what's going on. But the details of her death were very, very, very odd. Her and Clive had gotten into an argument regarding the renegotiation and her re-signing with him, to which she declined. She tried to get away from him. She made her way back to Texas. Want to know what's funny? She was getting sober. She was walking. She was getting clean, and all of a sudden she just.
The dark anomalies surrounding the sudden demise of icons trying to break free from their contracts point directly to a systemic pattern of total containment. When investigators look past the sanitized official reports, the exact same mechanics of non-disclosure agreements and financial silencing appear across generations. Allegations surfaced that hush money and NDAs were used to silence details, fueling suspicions about Davis's role. Observers noted similarities between Joplin's case and later controversies involving Whitney Houston, pointing to patterns of control, secrecy, and exploitation. While official accounts list her passing away as accidental, critics argue Davis's power in the industry allowed him to escape scrutiny, leaving unanswered questions about how much influence he. Historic evasion of legal scrutiny has led investigative journalists to look closer at the highly unorthodox personal alliances that form the foundation of these executive networks. The blurring of professional mentorship and highly compromised private dynamics created an inescapable environment for anyone trying to survive the industry. Critics have long speculated about Clive Davis's private life, noting that he openly identified as bisexual later in his career. Some observers argue that this aspect of his identity may have intersected with the entertainment world's hidden networks of influence. Allegations have surfaced suggesting Davis was connected to Diddy, who himself faced rumors of intimate relations with stars and industry figures. While none of these claims have been definitively proven, critics suspect that Davis's mentorship and personal connections blurred into more complex relationships.
To learn.
The staggering potential for systemic corruption and blackmail within these elite circles suggests that federal law enforcement has always kept a close eye on the music industry's absolute highest tiers. The ultimate tragedy of this era is the profound perception that true justice was completely out of reach for the victims, blocked by an unassailable wall of leverage. Clive Davis's legacy remains deeply controversial, not only for his influence in shaping the music industry, but also for the perception that he escaped accountability. Despite decades of speculation, allegations, and criticism, Davis never spent a single day in jail. Critics argue this reflects the immense power he held, suggesting he may have had the law in his hands or even blackmailed artists to remain silent. That's it for today's video. Stay tuned until next time.